Now I know there are some comedians out there thinking to themselves, her TCG players still exist? Yes, we do, and I'll have you know I work hard for these golden borders, alright? What do you work for? Primos? C6? Puh, get that shit out of here. You have C6 Nahida? Well, I have proficiency 202 Nahida, alright? Sorry, I just lost a few matches and now I have pent-up rage, and it got me thinking, why do I play this game? But also, and most importantly, what the hell happened to TCG? Now, you may be asking what I mean by that. Well, sit down and let me walk you through this. While you're sitting? The TCG community in this grand game known as Genshin Impact is quite small in comparison, and there are some dedicated people out there still making guides and videos around it, but man, the views range from anywhere to 500 to 10,000, which, don't get me wrong, that's not bad, especially compared to me, but in a game like this, yeesh! I mean, even YouTube is trying to lure me away from the TCG rabbit hole. Even trying to find a normal match at times can be a game of patience in itself. When you finally find a match, the only thing waiting for you is 20 minutes of what I can only describe as virtual pegging. Now look, I'm not here to get into the specifics of gameplay, even though I enjoy it. I'm not a card game expert in any sense. Hell, the most experience I've had in my younger days was playing made-up card games with friends at the park. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what playing this game feels like at times, though you're not so much as playing with friends because, I mean, let's be honest, you don't have any to play with, and more like you're going against someone who is equally as frustrated and swimming in their body oils to counter your counter to their counter to your counter. And hey, let's smooth transition into the teams! And by which I mean the illusion of choice. See, when you really start to understand TCG, you start to realize that you're very limited in your teams. For such a casually intended game mode, nothing can escape meta. I mean, you can put those two together, but you're probably gonna get completely washed, which at that point, you set TCG down, remember that the main game exists, and leave Diona to suffer in the eternal cat's tail loop. While we're out of the cat's tail, let's talk about the one and only TCG event that was, 5 months ago. Jesus Christ, I'm getting old. Now, get this. TCG, a permanent game mode, having a presence in a limited time event, was enough to make people backlash and whine about simply having to think about TCG. And to make matters worse, the TCG event barely had TCG related gameplay in it. The only time I really recall having to actually do a TCG match was with Ito's deck, and it was purposefully bad, so losing was the canon event. Other than that, it was just a sweet story about how friendship is magic. Now, wouldn't you know it, a lot of the problems people have with the game is, well, the core mechanics of the gameplay. Veterans of tabletop games might find the gameplay to be too unsatisfying and boring, while newer players might find the genre to be too tedious to get into, especially when you consider that they never even signed up for a card game when they downloaded Genshin Impact. But come on guys, let's be real here for a second. How many events do you think is going to be centered around TCG? Maybe once a year if that last event didn't completely discourage Hoyo from ever including it ever again? Honestly, I can't help but feel a sense of entitlement when people whine and complain about something being in an event simply because they don't like it. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying criticism isn't valid, you know, speak out against things that hurt your enjoyment, but like, do so in a respectful manner at least. Like, Hoyoverse is still actively working on TCG, so to think that they would never include it in an event is just absurdity to me. Now, to make things worse, if I remember correctly, TCG was released around a time when people were very heated about endgame content, and how Hoyo supposedly only plans on keeping the Spiral Abyss as the only combat-related type of endgame we get. And while I don't care as much, I can certainly relate to that frustration. Now, anyways, back to the topic on hand. A lot of the frustrations people have with TCG, at least from what I've read, is that it's just too slow and unrewarding for the amount of time you have to dedicate. And I mean, Hoyo is trying to fix that. They've added a speed up of sorts that, wouldn't you know it, speeds up certain animations to get through things faster. But I mean, in the end, it's still not really enough. As someone who actually enjoys cock and ball torture and TCG, I really think this is an interesting topic. For a game as big as Genshin, to my dismay, have a minigame that not many people enjoy for various reasons, it really makes me wonder, is TCG actually just dying? And honestly, I'm quite unsure. I mean, as long as Genshin thrives, TCG will. It's just how it works. But I almost wonder how long it'll truly survive. I mostly wanted to bring this topic up just because, well, I don't see many people talking about TCG, and I honestly love the game. Yes, unironically. I still enjoy it, but let me know what you guys think. Is TCG dying? Is it in a comfortable spot, or do you actually think it's thriving? I don't know, but that's all from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, I guess. Bye.